Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tearing down a big idea in the online world, that you have to hustle 15 hours a day to get anywhere. We're going to look at a system, a blueprint really, for building a business that actually serves your life, not the other way around. All right, let's get into it.
So let's just start with this number right here. Over 650,000 euros, all from affiliate marketing. But you know what's really wild? It's not the number itself, it's how it was made. This wasn't about chasing every new trend or being glued to a screen all day. So how on earth is that possible?
Well, the whole secret is a massive shift in how you think. It's about getting away from the old model of trading your hours for dollars. Instead, you build an automated asset that does the work for you. This is the big idea we're going to unpack. But first, we've got to talk about the #1 trap that keeps people from ever getting there. Yeah, according to entrepreneur Damien Menu, the main reason people just spin their wheels online is something he calls shiny object syndrome. You know what I'm talking about. It's that constant, frantic search for the next big thing, the magic bullet that's going to solve everything.
I mean, does this sound painfully familiar? You see some new method, you dive in headfirst for a couple of weeks, you learn a little bit, but then, oh look, something else that looks even better pops up. So you're always learning, you're always accumulating info, but you're never actually building anything that lasts. It's just a cycle of overload that leads nowhere.
And honestly, this comparison says it all. You've got the dopamine chaser on one side. They get that little high from starting something new, go all in for a week, and then poof, they burn out. Their progress over time? It's basically a flat line. But then you've got the persistent expert. They pick one thing and they stick with it. Sure, there are good days and bad days, but the overall trend is up. It's consistent, compounding growth. That is where you build real skill and where the real money is. Let's be really clear about this. Constantly jumping from one thing to the next, it's just poison for your business. It guarantees you'll never get deep enough into one thing to actually build a system that works. So the very first step out of this trap is to stop looking for some miracle cure-all and just commit to one solid, structured path. Okay, so this leads us to what is maybe the biggest mental hurdle you have to clear. You've got to stop thinking like an employee who gets paid by the hour and start thinking like someone who builds assets. All right, let's really break this down. Imagine a freelance photographer, right? To make money, they got to go find a client, do the shoot, edit the pictures, send the invoice, all of it. The second they stop hustling, the income dries up. Their time just doesn't scale. Now think about a system builder. They create an asset, let's say an automated sales funnel. They do the work to build it once, and that thing just keeps working, bringing in leads and sales long after they're done. See the difference? The system is the engine of the business, not you. So what exactly is a digital asset? Just think of it like your own personal automated employee. It could be your YouTube content, a sales funnel, an email follow-up series, basically any system that works in the background to build trust and make sales for you even while you're sleeping. This is how you escape that time for money trap for good. And this is the whole point, isn't it? The goal isn't just about making money. It's about freedom. It's about designing a business that fuels the life you actually want to live, one that gives you back your time. So you might be thinking, okay, great, but how do I actually build this? Well, the answer is a surprisingly simple 3-phase blueprint, and the real magic is in its structure. It's designed to keep you focused and stop you from getting overwhelmed. Here it is, 3 simple phases, and you have to do them in this exact order. Phase 1 is all about figuring out where you fit in the market. Phase 2 is where you build your automated engine. And only then, in Phase 3, do you start thinking about scaling. Seriously, don't even think about jumping to Step 3 until you've nailed the first 2. All right, let's dig into Phase 1. Finding your perfect position, your sweet spot, is all about finding where these 3 circles overlap. First, what do you actually know something about? Second, what are you passionate enough about that you could talk about it for years without getting bored? And third, and this is crucial, is there a market of people willing to pay for solutions in that area? That intersection, that's where you build a business that lasts. But your niche is only part of Phase 1. You also have to pick the right kind of offer. And just look at the math here. It's a total game changer. If you're promoting a cheap, one-time product, you need to make something like 215 new sales every single month to hit around 2,900 euros. But look at the other side. With a high-value, recurring subscription, you only need about 75 customers total to hit that same income, and they keep paying you. The amount of work you have to do is just night and day. Okay, So once you've got your position and you've found a killer high-value offer, you are ready for phase 2, building the machine that's going to sell it for you 24/7. And, the system itself is actually pretty straightforward. It starts with a traffic source, say, creating helpful videos on YouTube. You send people from that video to a simple web page, a capture page, where you give them something valuable for free in exchange for their email. And from that point on, your automated email sequence does the heavy lifting, building trust and eventually presenting your offer.
And I really can't stress this enough. Your social media accounts, you're just renting that space. An algorithm can change, you could get banned, it's all out of your control. But your email lists? That is an asset you truly own. It's a direct line to your people that nobody can ever take away from you. That's how you build a resilient business.
Which brings us to our final piece of the puzzle. Scaling smart. This is phase 3 of the blueprint, and it's all about leverage. It's how you go from building the foundation to seeing that explosive growth without having to work more and more hours.
But look, let's be real for a second. The first 2 phases, they can feel like a grind. You're putting in the work and the results might be slow to come. It can feel a little ungrateful, as Damien puts it. But that is the essential work that builds the foundation. Once that foundation is solid, you unlock what's called a leverage effect, where a little bit of effort starts producing huge results. And that leverage effect really comes down to this classic idea, the 80-20 rule. The key to scaling isn't just doing more stuff. It's about figuring out that tiny 20% of your activities that are actually producing 80% of your results, and then just doubling down on that. So for Damien's business, for example, he figured out that his 2 highest impact activities were 1, creating really valuable, high-quality content, and 2, just analyzing his data to make his funnels better. He realized that spending hours and hours agonizing over the perfect word in an email wasn't moving the needle. It was the quality of his core content that really mattered. So, what could this actually look like day to day? Well, here's an example of a super-focused 2-hour workday. You could use timed blocks, maybe an hour for your most important thing, creating content, and then spend the rest of the time engaging with your audience and looking at your numbers to see what's working. This kind of structure forces you to stay focused on that high-impact 20%. So look, if you only take one single thing away from all of this, let it be this. Stop searching for the next secret hack. Real lasting success comes from picking one proven system and then just executing on it with focus, day in and day out. That's it. That's how you build a real business. And so I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Forget business for a second. Just think about your life. What is your 20%? What is that one key thing that, if you really gave it your focus, could unlock 80% of the results you've been looking for?